Hey, what's happening everybody? Sean Kitzman from Sustainable Massage Practices. In today's video, we are going to talk about whether you view your work as art or a product. So early, probably about 3 or 4 years ago, I really started to dig into Seth Godin's work as a suggestion by one of my martial arts mentors, Tom Callis. Tom has a big love for Seth, and when I started reading Seth's work, I completely understood why. One of the things that Seth does really well is he starts, I think at least, is he starts to really look at the conversation of whether your work is art or a product. And there's a huge difference because what you're looking for in your work, first of all, but then in your marketing is you're looking for an emotional response. And that emotional response is super important because you need to be able to connect with your client or your patient. If you don't connect with your client or your patient, then there's going to be this disconnect, and it's not going to be a really well-rounded, holistic relationship. It's not going to be authentic. They're not going to have the same concerns that you have. They're not going to want to explore the same things that you do in your work. So what happens though is the industry teaches us to sell our work as a product. It's this massage, you come in, there's, lights and music and all the rest of this stuff. But they don't actually teach you to really, and they tell you to engage in learning other work. But the thing is that it's only as a matter of sales tactic. Like, if you're in a state that's licensed, there's CEUs that you're forced to take, which I think that, CEUs are super important. And I guess that there needs to be some sort of governing body that says, look, this is what we need to do to get better, and we're going to require that you do this because oftentimes people are lazy. But I see a lot of people just taking courses to fill CEUs as a matter of filling CEUs and not taking courses to actually help them grow and change their art and their work. And that is a huge issue, in my opinion. I think that if you are not looking at your work as art, not looking at your work that is similar to a musician or a sculptor, because that's what we're kind of doing almost. We're like kind of maybe architect and sculpture a little bit, right? Because we're trying to help people with some functional issues that they have, and we're also so hands-on with our work and so kinesthetic and tactile, and that experience is huge for your client as well. That tactile response from your client, it's part of what actually creates the the relationship between you. So if you're not exploring your work as art, and you're exploring it as, and you're just purely looking at, selling this product, then what happens is you don't get people that are actually excited about your work. And those are the people that you want. And that's the way that you want to live your life, right? I mean, like, massage therapy is not a career, it's a lifestyle, it's a vocation. And that's something that I really struggle with, because I think intuitively, innately, when we get into school, we think of massage as a vocation. But what happens when we get out of school and we got to pay the bills and we got to pay rent and we got to pay health insurance and we got to do all of those things that make it a quote-unquote job, we start to lose the vocation part and we get straight to production. And it becomes a production. And I think in the beginning you have to do that, by the way. I think in the beginning you have to do something so many times that you can replicate it at any point in time. But from there, if you don't choose to dig in and start to create the work and the art, then it strictly becomes production. And I want you to look at, like, my son. I have a 10-year-old son. He plays guitars. or he plays guitar, right? And he's really kind of a music guy, but he plays guitar, right? He has to learn scales. He has to learn chords. He has to learn where his fingers go on the fretboard. But after that, the goal is to create music. And creating music isn't just copying what someone else has done. And my wife played classical piano. And even in classical piano, they look for inflection. They look for pieces of your personality when you're duplicating someone else's work. In writing, it's the same thing. Writers, you can tell who's influenced who, right? In writing or in music, right? Or even in art. But eventually you have to put your own personality on it. And if you don't, it's production. And production doesn't sell shit. You know what production sells? Production sells, it attracts crappy clients. It attracts clients who are not engaged with you. It attracts clients who aren't passionate about your work. It attracts clients who want to haggle with price with you. It attracts clients who don't evangelize for you. They don't go out and tell their friends for you. You want your work to be so damn good that they're compelled to talk about it. So, I'm going to leave you with this quote that Seth has that I think is really, really, really good. And I want to ask you, I want you to really think about it. Do you look at your work as art, or do you look at it as production? And if you look at it as production, what are you actually passionate about in what you do right now that you can actually turn your work into art? All right, we'll see you soon. Remember, practice makes improvement.